Let's take a seat back that looks like this and make it look like this. It's all in this episode. So we used burlap, a layer of jute, 1.5 inch foam, 1/2 inch scrim foam, listing wire, hog rings. It's all in this episode. If you're interested in seeing how we got this done, stay tuned. All right, welcome back to another episode of Restoring Christine. Bill here. Christine, our 56 Bel Air, she's actually at home. I'm at a remote location. I'm at a warehouse where I've been working on, I'm almost maybe a little more than halfway, or I'm about halfway done with doing the interior upholstery. I'm reupholstering the seats for Christine, and that's what you see behind me. I've got that done, so let's take a quick look at that and see what we're gonna do today. So this is the rear bench seat for Christine. She's a Bel Air model. And this is an interior upholstery kit I got from Ciadella. And I installed vinyl and new foam padding on the bottom in one episode. That was a ways back. And then last week, the last thing I did was I installed the same thing on the back of the rear bench seat. So that's in another episode. I'll put a link to that up here as well. What we're going to be doing today is applying upholstery that looks like that onto my seat backs. So now these are the seat backs for the very front bench, which is a split bench. So the springs have all been refurbished on here. I've got them straightened out, bent. Got new stay wire crimped to the center of them, and I've taken them, I've cleaned them up a little bit. And then also just what I've done is yesterday I took these home, and I didn't want fresh paint on new upholstery, so this is Krylon metallic silver. It's a gorgeous color. It's really, really pretty for coming out of a spray can. I don't know how much of that is exposed, but I wanted to make sure that if any of it was exposed, that it would be presentable. So I did that yesterday, and now I've got them here. So that's what we're going to do today. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time and show you how to do one of these two, and then I will put it on hyperlapse, and then we're just going to cruise through the whole thing on the next one. So a couple of quick notes. Here's a Fisher Body Upholstery and Trim Assembly Manual, and this is from Faxon Auto Literature. And I did want to refer back to this document, even though we're not going to be using all the original factory upholstery padding. We're going to be doing something different. I'm going to take all of this is an adaptation of a method that Ciadella uses with all that material that's back there. I'll show you that as we get into it. But the first thing is this manual is going to show us where everything goes, how everything was supposed to come back, where it was supposed to be hog ringed. So this is where sheet number 200 is where it starts with the bench seat, and here's the rears. What we need to do with we have a spring spacer that I'm going to show you in a second. Shows you how to close the bottom off, how to wrap around the sides, where the padding's supposed to go over the ends, over the tops. So you can see that. It shows you all this. So it gives you all the padding instructions for what to do here. But the issue that I have with these diagrams, it talks about all the padding in terms of so many ounces of this much number, something cotton batting, and that's unless you have a decoder, you can't figure out what the heck that is. So this is what we're going to be doing. We're using Ciadella's method, which was used in these two pieces. And what they do is they basically say on the springs, a layer of burlap, followed by a layer of jute, followed by 1.5 inch foam, followed by a layer of 1.5 inch scrim foam. And this is what you hog ring to that locks it all down, locks down the top foam. So what I have to do is I have to figure out how to adapt that to where the factory is saying to go ahead and wrap the cotton batting from here to there, A to B. I got to figure out, okay, how am I going to do this layering? How am I going to secure it? It was pretty, I think I was pretty successful with doing these two seats, but now this is a little bit of a different beast because it has front, sides, and a back, so that's a little bit different. So let's get started. So the first thing is this spring spacer, and this is a piece of burlap that had a couple of pieces of listing wire on the inside of it, and this used to be here in the back of this seat going from here to here, and it pinches the spring, it preloads it, it gives it the right depth from here to here. And I had to make this. So what I did is I took a piece of burlap, I brought this to the sewing machine, and I put 2 hems in it, and this is double stitch from the hem. I videoed myself doing this, but the video got goofed up. I don't know, I'll run a sequence of that right now if I've got any footage of that that's available. But this is going to be, I'm going to insert 2 pieces of listing wire in here, and we're going to cut this to length, and we're going to go ahead and hog ring this from the back of the frame to the front of the spring. So forgive me, but this video is going to be repetitive of a lot of things that you've seen in the other 2 videos if you've watched them, but this is the application of the same methods, the same techniques, doing everything the same way as what we did with the other seats, and it's just in a different application. So this is going to be going from here to here, and what I need to do, I've made more than enough. Yeah, I made just enough. I made just enough. Cut it in half. I'll cut this in half so that I've got enough for my 2 seats. But this burlap. It's the same burlap we're going to use in the back, and what I'm going to be using is listing wire. So this is sold as stay wire, S-T-A-Y, and you can see it's got a wire on the inside of it about the size of a coat hanger. So there it is, and it's got craft paper around it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to insert that into our spring spacer, and then once I get these 2 in, then we're going to hog ring it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 locations maybe, and then same thing on the front. Let's go ahead and do that. So this is a hog ring plier, got a hog ring in it. Make sure I got this in the center. Put this in the center, and just pinch this like so, and that is it. So we need to do that here, and then do it also on the spring. Put in the spring, pull this back, and you can see how that's going to establish the right depth here. So let's see, it's tight. So this is going to be the same dimension all the way through. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so there's a spacer. It's in place. It's secured in every position where they show you in the manual. So they say to go do the 2 ends, and they also say at every spring. So the first one I put was in a dead center, but really the best place to put it is right at the spring, because that's where your load path is all directly tied to itself. So now the next thing is to put, to cover this whole spring surface with a layer of burlap. And I have already pre-cut a piece here. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to fold it over the edges. I'm going to fold it under, and I'm going to hog ring it all the way around. So let's go ahead and do that. So now the burlap is on the surface, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a layer of jute, which is basically carpet padding. That's what I bought this as, but it's a 1/4 inch thick. This is not carpet padding for your house. It's an automotive carpet padding, so it's very rugged. And a layer of this, you'll notice that like when the burlap is on, you can still poke your hands through and get to the spring, so that's not really protecting the foam very much. But you throw this over it, and now it's getting a little better. And you can still hear the springs through there, so it's not all that much, but this is enough to really protect the foam that goes on top of this. So in the manual shows the padding. They want the padding to go all the way around. So this is the way they show it, and they show the padding going all the way around the edges on the outside. They show it coming all the way over here, nosing over the backside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hog ring this around the back, hog ring it to the end over here, fold this over the 2 sides a little bit, and then we'll go to the next step. So let's see that. All right, that was a little bit of a struggle to try to figure out what to do on the corners when you don't have a place to really secure it to. So I wrapped that around, and the diagram is not exactly perfect in the book. So I hog ringed it to itself, the jute. There's 2 layers of foam that's going to go over this. So let's go to the next step, which is actually the 1.5" foam. So I'm using 1.5" padding, and this is 1.5" medium dense. Got this from Amazon. It's only 24 inches wide though. And again, as I had a problem with the rear bench seat, I had to splice this. So again, this is not quite making it. It's just barely making it here. So I'm debating. I think I might be able to get it. I think it's just gonna barely be enough. It's really close. Right to the edges here. I would like to have a little bit of overhang on that, but I think the scrim foam is going to get it. So I think 24 inches might be just enough. At first I thought of cutting it short and just doing it on the face, and then I just did a test with my cover, and I think the cover wants padding right here. It really wants something here. So I'm going to put this 1.5" here, and then a 1/2" inch scrim foam is going to lock it all down. So I'm going to cut this out, and since this is not, you can't hog ring through this, because if you did, it would rip right through. Okay, so what we're going to do is the scrim foam is what's going to hold all of this down. So I'm going to cut a piece, and I'll probably put a little bit of contact cement on this just to anchor it down while I do the scrim foam. Let me go ahead and do that. So this is going to be quite the experiment. I'm hopeful, I'm very hopeful that once I pull the scrim foam over this, that it smooths all of this out. We're gonna find out. I pulled it to where it's just barely at the edge of the springs on the bottom, but at the top it's not quite as long as I would really like it to be. I wish this was a little further, a little bit more. So we're gonna try this. Hopefully it'll work, and I've got extra padding over here, so by the time I pull all of this together, it should be okay. So we're gonna go ahead and get the scrim foam, which is this material. And scrim foam, 1/2 inch thick, same density, and it's got a fabric backing on it, so that unlike when you saw me pull the other one a minute ago, you put a hog ring in this and it holds. So that's how we're gonna lock all this down, all this together. So what I need to do is get a layer of scrim foam on the bottom underneath here, and I need to go ahead and start pulling it around and securing it and seeing what it feels like. And if I'm satisfied with it, then I'm gonna go with it. If not, what I might do is I have some cotton batting or something, and I might build this up if I need to. So we're gonna see what happens with this. So let me take my time with this. I know I've been doing the other segments and hyperlapse because it's all the same, but this is now suddenly where it's starting to get a little sketchy. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hog ring this at first up here. I'm gonna hog ring it to the same place that the jute is. I'll put that in, all those rings up on the top there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to flip this over and take my time and pull it around the top and pull it and see what it looks like. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna secure this one completely at the top. Then I'm gonna pull down to the bottom, and I'm only gonna put a couple of hog rings on it without cutting it. And I'm gonna see how I like it and to see if it's working. So if I don't like the way this padding is, you know, like this, if it's bumpy, I'm gonna do something to supplement that foam. And I have some cotton batting that I might wad up and throw in there to smooth it out. Because all this foam has, you know, hard edges. It's square cut, you know. So, all right, let's see. I don't know that I can get another one on that. Maybe one on the outside edge. This is gonna be a trick. You know, if anything, this whole exercise is going to show one thing, that there's like an infinite number of ways you can do this. So let's see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it up, tug it, and then fold it back down. Yep, like that. So before I even hog ring it, I can feel I don't quite like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something right in that corner. Let me go ahead and fashion something up, and then we'll pick it back up from there. So this is what I've come up with. I've got some cotton batting, and I just tore a piece to kind of stuff underneath here. And this is very compressible, extremely compressible. So what I've got is a hard edge right here, and this is what I didn't want. I need something to transition from that hard edge to give something for this instead of floating over a hard edge. And no matter where I would have cut this foam, there would have been a hard edge on there. So I don't know if there's some trick to this that I don't know, or maybe it's just using a wider piece of styrofoam, but this should work just fine. So now we're going to go ahead and continue where we were. I'll fold this back over, and we'll go ahead and continue hog ringing it. So now that I've folded it over, I like it a lot better. It doesn't have that hard edge anymore. It's nice and soft. So that's what we're going to go with. And if I don't like that, I'll pull a cover off and redo it. Okay. So but I think this is going to work just fine. Yeah. So let me go ahead and continue hog ringing this, and then we'll have to fight the sides and get those done. But away we go. Take a look at it. It was a little bit of work, but I think you can appreciate, well, I had 3 hog rings that I put in the bottom here that I hog ringed in the wrong spot. I needed to hog ring it back to the springs. So that's one thing that I need to point out, is as I was doing this, I went back to the same place that the jute and the burlap are attached to, and that's not the right place, because you want this to smooth over. So now all the edges are folded over. I had to really play with these corners, and I had to cut some relief up here, but it's got padding all the way around. It's all tucked in. It's on that side. This side, same thing. I had to cut some reliefs, so I don't know if that showed up, but I cut some relief cuts, and then also remove some material, pull that in, and got it all pulled tight. So now we need to go ahead and there's a couple things. So one of the things is there's a button that goes in this, and the button goes through the middle of the fabric where the triangles intercept, and then so that's going to have to be done because the seat has a back. So I'm going to have to do that. But then there's also something that I noticed in the instructions from the factory, and they basically put a pad on this. So I am going to go ahead and cut a piece of jute, and I'm going to put a piece of jute here after when we get this thing started. So I don't know at what point I need to do that, because I need to put the button on first before I put that on. So I think what happens is you get everything on, and then when you're ready to do that back flap, then you do that. So that's what we're going to do next, is we're going to go ahead and start pulling this cover over it. So this is the cover, and what I want to point out to you is that it has plackets around the perimeter in a bunch of different places for listing wire. So it's got on the bottom, up the front side, down the back side, down the back, bottom. It also has a placket in the middle. So this is going to go right behind where the seat seat comes up and it's got a barrel roll over, so there's gonna be a listing wire there that needs to be grabbed from the backside and pull it tight. This is gonna be the very first listing wire we need to do. So I need to put a listing wire in that and put listing wires all the way around the other sides. And we can go ahead and start slipping this cover on. Now there's listing wire, which is sold as stay wire. It's got this craft paper backing on it. It's about the thickness of a coat hanger, but it's a lot more pliable. It's a lot more springy. So I've got it now in all the plackets all the way around it. So it's all the way around the perimeter of the front, in the center back, and all the way around the perimeter of the back. So it's cut in separate pieces. And when they stitched this, they stitched it whole, so you have to cut it and then put your listing wires in like that. So now I need to get this cover and try to slip this over the frame. And the first piece we're gonna have to do is right here in the center in the back. All right, like a big dummy, I had the wrong cover out. I had the driver's side out, and I put the listing wire in it, and I needed the passenger side. So I got ahead of myself, or not ahead, I've got a jump start on when I do the driver's side. So now I've got listing wire on both sides, even though I've only got the passenger side back padded. So now let's go ahead and start slipping the cover over it. All right, so being that this is the passenger side, it should look like this. So both the front and the back of the passenger side attached to the center in the middle, and there's a little cover that goes over this, and we're not going to do that today, but this should slip over here like this. Should be able to pull it down. Yep, it's going to go. Pull this way. I'm not hog ringing anything yet. I want to see it in rough form before I start pulling the first hog ring on. So I'm going to pull the cover all the way over the entirety of it. Flip it. Come over this way. Might have to horse this a little bit because it is pretty fat. Yep. 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 Come on. This will be hard. Put some weight on it. Rip my pants. Whew, it is fat. All right, now that I got it kind of started, let me massage it. Pull it. I think that's what's going on. Yeah. Like pull. There we go. That way. It's gonna come. It's gonna come. All right. Whew. Wow. That's way over there. All right. It's coming. It's gonna stretch. See, maybe I need to get this. Yeah, I need to get this down. There we go. All right. Whew. Yeah, all right. Now we can pull it. Wow. It is in a bind. But we're gonna get it. We are going to get it. coming. It's definitely coming. All right. Close. I just need to massage it. All right, I got it about as good as I'm gonna get it. I'll get it pulled. It's gonna pull tight when I get it. So I've got it wrapped around the corners in the back, wrapped around the corner here. It can come down a little bit more, but it's gonna have to come down when it pulls this together. It's tight. I did notice something, that I did not cut enough listing wires. There's a second listing wire that goes in here. So it looks like one goes to the frame, and then the other one goes to the forward, the front listing wire. So these two are going to eventually close. Woo, boy, that's going to be something. So, all right, we got to get that done. But the starting point is to take this listing wire here and go ahead and crimp it right where the previous hog rings were, that's holding the scrim foam, the burlap, and the jute. Not going to lie, those are some of the hardest hog rings I've ever put in. Whoo, man, I got those, but there you go. All right, so now we're going to flip this back, and you can see that's what holds this line down. So that's all secured down there. All right, so now what I need to do is the two sides, and yeah, so hopefully as I do this, as I bring these two sides in, this side and the other side, hopefully all this will start cooperating. So I'm going to be tugging on it as we go. I'll put you on hyperlapse this time. Here we go. There's the button, and that's how it's done. Nylon tennis wire or tennis racket cord, and a plate washer that I made with two little small holes, and I pulled it and triple knotted it, and there's a piece of jute back here backing it up, but it just comes right up through the springs and everything else. So that's what holds it in. It was similar to what the factory did. So now let's go ahead and get this thing buttoned up. I'll be able to fold this down, do the last little bits, and here we go. There it is. It took me about 3 hours, but that's it. Check it out. That's how the bottom came out. That looks awesome. What that is, I think it's a bump stop for the back of the seat. But the back, watch how the back came out. There's a hog ring right there that's tugging on that. But I think when the heat hits it, you won't see it. So glad I put that pad on this side. That really made this edge look nice. But look at that. Christine, as long as I've had her, has never had that detail right there. Never had that. That looks so fun. Man. How you like that? All right, that's going to do it for this episode. Do hope you got something out of it, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you're enjoying the channel, I'd love a subscription. So the very next episode I'm going to do is going to be on the same thing, except I'm going to do it all hyperlapse for the driver's side back. It's going to be just short, sweet, to the point. So that's coming up next if you want to see that. But until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.